Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping right in, straight into this really intense personal story that basically set Deconey on fire.
Yeah, it's quite the history. We're looking at the sources covering those critical weeks right after De Vere Blacksword's coup. That was 499 HKC.
And it's this story of, well, obsession, really, a fixation that kicked off the Sixth Antler War.
We pick things up just after the 30th Vombras. De Vere's just grabbed power.
Right, he killed the previous regent, Tarloyer of Amoil.
Brutally, yes. And then just declared himself Lord Protector. But, this wasn't some smooth political move. It was deeply personal, and the consequences were immediate and huge.
And caught in the middle, you have Queen Creillyce Storyzina. And remember, she's the sister of Prince Danther of Voltaire, a major player.
And her son, Gorion ve Recruel, the boy king, he's only about 7.
So young. And they're basically stuck, secluded in the Castle of Songs in Cresmere. The sources paint this picture of them just waiting, hiding almost.
Waiting for him, for De Vere Blacksword. And he shows up constantly, not talking statecraft.
No, he's bringing gift, trying to console them. It's quite unsettling.
Especially when you remember who De Vere is. A disgraced knight, just returned to Daconia months before pulling off this coup.
And how did he even fund it? That's always struck me as key. He wasn't exactly popular locally.
No, he wasn't. The records are pretty clear he leaned heavily on outside money, specifically Loyori funding. That's how he paid for his army of brigands.
Loyori funding.
Yeah.
Wow, okay, so that immediately puts him in a terrible position, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's the key to understanding just how precarious his situation was from day one. Using foreign money, it basically labels him a traitor, a foreign puppet.
So he didn't just seize power. He handed every noble in Daconia a reason, like a legitimate reason, to rise up against him.
Precisely. Which brings us to the immediate stakes. His coup instantly gets Moran II of Perret moving.
The claimant who already controls, what, the eastern third of the kingdom?
That's him. And Moran probably didn't really care that much about Gorion's fate before this, but De Vere gave him the perfect excuse. We have to rescue the rightful king.
A classic political maneuver.
Textbook. And then you've got Creillyce's brother, Prince Danther of Voltaire, just watching from the wings.
Waiting for his chance. Probably hoping to turn Deconey into a vassal state.
You can bet on it.
Yeah.
De Vere was so fixated on Creillyce, he seems completely blind to the fact that he's just made himself enemy number one to every major power around him.
Okay, let's dig into that fixation, that delusion driving him. He had history with Creillyce, right? This wasn't new.
Not at all. He'd been banished years before, back in 492 HKC, by King Raphael III, Gorion's father.
And specifically for chasing after Creillyce.
The sources say his obsessive pursuit of her, even before she was queen, he genuinely seems to see himself as some kind of tragic hero.
Like he was wronged.
Exactly. It's this potent cocktail of wounded pride, deep resentment, and this almost idealistic delusion. He thinks he's the main character in some grand tragedy, and taking power is just, reclaiming what fate supposedly owes him, including her love.
That level of self-pity is something else.
It really is, and it leads directly to this constant conflict when he visits the queen. He's showering her with gifts, professing his undying devotion.
But she only wants one thing.
One single constant request: when can I go home? When will he arrange for her return to Castran, to her brother Danther's court in Voltaire?
She's actively trying to get away from him and put herself under the protection of his biggest rival.
And De Vere just cannot deal with it. The accounts say his mood just plummets whenever she asks.
What's his excuse?
Always the same. The roads are too dangerous. The Sixth Antler War, the war he basically started, makes travel too perilous.
So he's keeping her prisoner for her own safety, but her imprisonment is fueling the very war he's citing.
It's a completely circular, self-serving logic, an unsustainable political position built entirely on his own emotional needs. Unstable.
And eventually, that tension just has to break, right?
It does. In the autumn, Creillyce's patience just snaps. She seems to decide, okay, diplomacy isn't working, and she confronts the lie head-on. No more politeness. She goes right for the core of it.
This is the really chilling part in the accounts.
Absolutely. Imagine being in that room. She basically calls him out on his desire. She says something like, if it is such that you crave, we might arrange it so, provided my son is not witness to it.
Wow.
And when you are sated, might we then be permitted to return to our homeland?
That's devastating. That's not an invitation, it's a desperate gamble. She's offering herself up.
A calculated sacrifice. Take what you clearly want, use me if you must, but then let my son and me go free. The sheer desperation in that offer.
How does De Vere react? He can't possibly take her up on that, given his noble self-image.
He completely breaks down. Gorion, even as a young child, remembered it vividly. De Vere's lips trembling, tears streaming down his face, weeping like a child.
Weeping.
Yeah, crying out, "My queen, what sort of man dost thou take me for?" Denying any base motives, you know?
Still clinging to that noble rescuer fantasy?
Absolutely. He insists he only wants to warm and console her, that he feels shame for his long absence. He cannot, will not admit it's about possession, because in his mind, he's the hero.
Not the predator.
Right. And his complete denial forces Creillyce to go even further. She basically throws diplomacy out the window and lays out the real history, the dark tales, she calls them, from years ago in Doros and Castrand.
She spells out exactly what his obsession cost her back then.
Yes. She needs him, and maybe her son too, to understand the actual consequences of his fantasy life.
And what were they? The sources mention specifics.
They were severe. She recounts how her own father was so appalled by the scandal de Vere was creating that he threatened to send her to the nameless village.
And the nameless village, that wasn't just being sent away, was it?
No. That was basically social death. Permanent, isolated banishment. Often for women whose reputations were seen as ruin, usually through no fault of their own, a complete erasure from society.
Just because of his actions.
Because of his unbridled obsession, as she puts it. And then there's the detail about the belt of copper.
What did that signify?
It was a physical symbol of restriction and public shame, put on women whose honor was questioned, often due to unwanted male attention causing scandal. She lost her freedom, her liberty, all because of him.
But it sounds like there was something else, too. Something that made her angrier at de Vere than even at Tarloyer, the man he actually murdered?
Yes. And this is crucial. It wasn't just the personal harassment. It was the political damage he inflicted with his lies.
Lies. What lies specifically?
De Vere had apparently boasted. To other knights, even to her brother Danther, he claimed that she loved him, that she intended to marry him.
While she was betrothed to King Raphael.
Exactly. While she was promised to the king, Gorion's father. So de Vere wasn't just some lovesick fool. He was actively spreading disinformation.
Trying to sabotage her politically, ruin her reputation, maybe even break the betrothal.
That seems to be the implication. He used his obsession as a weapon. And that's why she holds him in such contempt. It leads to this absolutely devastating moment where she defines him.
Right, after he insists he's no madman.
She looks right past him, towards her son Gorion, and delivers this clinical assessment. There are few who, though they speak lies, believe them as surely as they believe the sight of their own eyes. Such men are called by a single word, and that word is madmen.
Calling the acting ruler of the kingdom a madman to his face in front of her son.
It's incredibly powerful and honestly probably accurate. That definition really cuts to the core of why de Vere is so dangerous. You can't reason with someone whose reality is entirely self-constructed.
Someone who believed their own lies.
Exactly. How do you govern? How do you negotiate? It's impossible.
And it's right after this, isn't it, that Gorion asks the obvious child's question.
Yeah, the innocent question that cuts through everything. Did his mother love de Vere?
The answer is clearly no.
A firm no. And then did she love his father, King Raphael?
And her answer here is beautiful, isn't it? It's the complete opposite of de Vere's destructive fixation.
It really is. She describes her love for Raphael so tenderly, like something that grows as a seed, something nurtured by time, by care. She emphasizes how Raphael was kind, how he made her feel safe and protected.
Safety. That seems key. The absolute opposite of what de Vere offered.
It's the core contrast, I think. De Vere wanted to take, to possess violently, if necessary, both her and the throne. Raphael provided security, stability, the space for love to actually grow.
And she mentions Raphael protecting her from de Vere before.
Crucially, yes. She says Raphael stood by her when that man with the black sword returned previously. He accepted her past, didn't blame her for de Vere's harassment, and shielded her from it.
So Raphael offered stability and protection.
Exactly. And she links that directly to Gorion's existence. For that, I loved him, and that is why you are here, my beloved child of the rain. Referencing rain, of course, which in Voltaire culture is a symbol of blessing, prosperity.
She's essentially telling de Vere, without even looking at him, my loyalty, my love, my family, they belong to the man who gave me peace, not the one who brought chaos.
It's a complete and total rejection on every level, and after that, de Vere is just broken.
She tells him to leave. Just flat out.
Yep. And Gorion remembers him leaving with his face buried in his hand, utterly devastated. He stopped visiting her chambers after that.
He got the power, the regency, but he failed in the one thing the sources suggest he really wanted. He was rejected.
Publicly, definitively, crushingly rejected. And that emotional shattering seems to push him over the edge strategically. The mask drops.
The delusion couldn't hold anymore.
Right. The courteous suitor act is gone, and the reprieve for Creillyce and Gorion is tragically short.
How short?
Maybe a week. 2 at most, the sources suggest. Just as the weather turns colder, the leaves becoming ashen gray, a very symbolic detail.
Then what happens?
De Vere resorts to blunt force. The Queen and Gorion are taken by force from the royal apartments, dragged away to an unknown location, an unknown fate at that point. His attempt at winning her over failed, so the jilted lover becomes the brutal tyrant again. Instantly.
And this happens right when Moran II is already marching, using their captivity as his justification.
Exactly. Taking them by force basically proves Moran's point overnight. It makes De Vere look even more like an illegitimate monster.
He goes from incompetent to actively self-destructive. He just poured fuel on the fire of the Sixth Antler War.
Completely, ensuring it would be a long, bloody conflict. So when you look back, his entire regime was basically built on sand. Not just politically fragile, but emotionally fragile.
Because he was fragile.
Precisely. His actions weren't driven by strategy, but by this desperate delusional need for love and validation, which made him reckless.
And vulnerable. He handed Moran II and Prince Danther everything they needed to justify coming after him.
Immediately after the coup, he thought he was the hero, the tragic lover finally claiming his due.
But the Queen saw him for what he was, a madman, as she put it, and her rejection just broke him.
Broke his emotional stability, and by extension, any chance he had of stable rule. He lost his grip.
Which brings us to a really critical question for you, the listener, thinking about how this war unfolds.
Yeah, what happens next? What kind of desperate, erratic decisions does a man like this, a self-styled madman, who just seized power, facing huge military threats, and now completely emotionally shattered by the object of his obsession? What does he do?
Taking the Queen and her son was just the first panicked reaction. Where does that instability lead the war and Daconia? Something to really consider.
Hush now, close your weary eyes, hear the patter on the pane. In volatile rain is blessing, child, a kindness come again. Love is seed in careful hands, softly sown and slowly true. I learned its name in listening and found it, child, in you. Pearl of dew, born of night and morning too. Pearl of dew, gift your father gave me. Raphael Leafcloak, scholar king, a teacher crowned with care. He spoke less loud than other men, but heard me everywhere. When shadows from the black sword's past came stalking hard and new, he stood and said, the past is past, and kept me safe and you. Pearl of dew, born of night and morning too. Pearl of dew, gift your father gave me. He hungers after borrowed crowns and howls at mirrored truth. Yet hear me, child, do not let hate make famine in your heart. For madness is an ailing fire we pity not. Take part. Her loved you, born of night and morning too. Her loved you, gift your father gave me. So grow as gardens learn the rain in seasons slow and sure. Be gentle as your father was. Be steadfast, brave, and pure. And when the storm-sent drums are mute and dawn breaks warm and blue, remember how our sorrow healed the day he gave me you. Truth and lie walk side by side. One listens, one devours. Choose the path where mercy keeps and love makes sovereign powers. Pearl of dew, born of night and morning too. Pearl of dew, sleep my rain, blessed I hold
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we are pushing past the official histories.
Right.
We're diving into the really bizarre aftermath of the De Vere Black Sword coup of 499 HKC.
It's an astonishing story, actually. Obsession, confinement, and a half-troll guard.
Yeah, usually when we talk 499 HKC, that's the historical king's calendar, of course.
Mm-hmm.
The focus is all on the coup itself, the violence.
But we're looking at those dark, strange weeks after, specifically the abduction of Queen Creillyce Doricina and her son, the young king, Gorion Veracruz.
And this wasn't just politics. It feels intensely personal.
Oh, absolutely.
2 weeks after the takeover, De Vere Ezazagi, the usurper, has them seized from the Castle of Songs.
And Creillyce had already denounced him publicly, called him a madman.
Driven by what seems like just pure, unadulterated obsession, how does that level of, well, personal delusion even translate into a political takeover?
It translates when you weaponize it.
Yeah.
De Vere, he was a disgraced knight, remember? Exiled back in 492 HKC.
Right.
For his relentless, frankly disturbing pursuit of Creillyce.
So stalking, basically, not just a failed romance.
Pretty much. He didn't see her as a woman, really. More like a symbol.
Yes.
A beacon of purity he thought he needed for his own redemption.
Wow. So that wounded pride, that sense of destiny being thwarted, that's what fueled his return to Deconia.
Exactly. He wasn't just after power. He wanted to force everyone, especially Creillyce, to admit he was right all along, to acknowledge his greatness.
And he didn't use the regular army for this.
No, he came back in 499, used significant funding from the Loyori.
The Loyori, always involved when things get messy.
Well, they're known for backing disruptive regional politics, right?
Yeah.
He used their money to recruit the bold company.
100 strong, wasn't it? Mostly Nemestri outcasts, smugglers.
Brigands, yeah. The kind of people you hire for brute force, which is ironic given he was trying to prove this delicate, delusional point about himself.
Okay, let's get into the abduction itself. The night in Lemurlis. Gorion's memory here is crucial, isn't it?
It really is. He gives us these vivid, terrifying details. He was only about 7.
Just a child.
wakes up to his mother's cry. 3 veiled captors, muffled sounds, pulled out of the castle of songs in their nightclothes.
Blindfolded, stifled, just hurried away.
But the detail that really stands out, the one that gives it that otherworldly feel.
The eyes.
The eyes. Gorian distinctly remembered the tallest captor's eyes shimmering with an unnatural light.
Chilling. And the journey itself, also bizarre.
Not carriages, no. They were carried off in wooden casks.
Casks. Like for wine or...
Well, they smelled faintly of sour milk, apparently, but lined with wool inside.
Sour milk and wool. Captivity, but with this weirdly specific, almost considerate touch mixed into the terror.
It's unsettling, right? And by boat, across the frigid Voria.
To the remote isle of Lacicusala.
That's the one.
And we know who these captors were. Duns, Christo, and...
Alcor.
All
He's
right.
the source of that unnatural light. He was half troll.
Half troll. So troll and mother, but human proportions.
Generally, yes. But still, his size, that orange glow, inherently terrifying.
And their prison wasn't a typical fortress dungeon.
No, which you might expect after a coup. It was the cellar, or maybe crypt, of a sacred place.
A shrine.
Yeah, fair domed shrine for sage lure. The Ver had cleverly lured away the Ventanera brothers who usually tended it, sent them off to Cresmere.
So he emptied it out, repurposed it just for them, for the queen's safekeeping.
Exactly. So they get locked into this chamber, maybe 20 feet across. Creillyce finally gets the blindfold off.
Sees the pillars, and then...
And then in the corner, the orange glowing lights. Gorian saw them immediately.
Oh, God.
Creillyce just clung to him, whispering it was merely a shadowy dream, trying to deny it.
And that's when Tor speaks.
Yeah, cuts right through it. This growling, guttural voice. Is the she-man daft? Either that or she is lost in madness.
Terrifying. Creillyce starts praying to Allfather Taros.
Instantly. Convinced she's in the hands of, well, actual monsters.
But then the story takes another sharp turn.
Right, because the raw terror is immediately undercut by this bizarre hospitality.
The door unlocks.
And in comes Dunn, described as corpulent, jovial, high-pitched voice. And he's brought soup.
Soup? Seriously?
Soup. He assures them the mattress is clean and casually points out the bucket behind a pillar, for necessities.
So, confirming, prisoners, yes. Sacrificial victims, no.
Yeah.
Just prisoners with soup.
It's a huge moment of cognitive dissonance for Creillyce. Locked in a crypt, guarded by a nightmare, served lukewarm soup.
And it's Tahor, the nightmare guard, who explains Dever's logic.
Yeah, his very specific, twisted logic. He tells her Black Sword cherishes his she-man and brought her here because he was afraid others would take her.
So it's protection, not punishment, in Dever's mind.
According to Takor, yes.
Yeah.
He even frames the coup, the violence, as Dever proving his worth. Says Black Sword was cleaving skulls because, well, trolls believe she-man prefer men who do that.
Not men who sing and gift flowers.
Exactly. Takor calls that Zaburani. Dismissively.
Creillyce must have been furious.
Oh, she was. Denounced Dever again. Insisted it was just revenge for his obsession.
But Takor just offers this half-troll philosophy.
Pretty much. When she asks why a mighty creature like him follows a puny man, Takor gives his creed.
What was it?
Strength is good and axe is better, but best is will. Black Sword is like a troll, strong in will.
Wow. That's a key insight, isn't it? Dever turned his obsession into this perceived strength of will.
He weaponized his delusion, and even his alienated guard, Takor, recognized that force of personality as the ultimate power.
And it explains Takor's role, too. He wasn't just a guard, he was also a prisoner there.
Barred from leaving the shrine himself, they settled into this grim routine. At first, Creillyce had nothing, just a candle.
Which Takor held.
Yeah. But later, she got books.
What kind of books?
Hymns in the Yasi tongue. That's the old Daconia liturgical language, theology, medicine, herbology. Even ones with illustrations.
A distraction, maybe. But the real coping mechanism sounds like the walls.
Yes. Mother and son used chalk sticks. Creillyce told Gorian it was clay or soil from Voltai, her homeland.
Drawing memories.
Sketches of Castrand, Voltai, her brother, redbirds, creating this memory palace on the stone walls, bringing their past into that crypt.
And Gorian actually connected with Takor.
He did. With that sort of innocent, direct curiosity kids have, he just asked him, how is it to be a troll?
And Takor answered.
Oh, yes, with this incredibly unsettling description of troll courtship.
Not Sbarani, I take it.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
More like, hit the she-troll with a club, drag her off, hide her, plant tiny trolls within her.
Carming.
Then maybe adorn her with leaves, twigs, stones, bird wings, maybe.
stark contrast to how de Vere had pursued Creillyce, however obsessively.
And Takor's own origin explains his isolation. His father was a Uronian knight.
Captured by a she-troll.
Yes, she made him plant Takor within her, then devoured the knight, kept his head as a memento.
Good grief, a skull keepsake.
It explains a lot about Takor. He told Gurion, trolls think Takor is a puny man, left him feeling like he had no home.
Making him the perfect guard for de Vere's purpose. Isolated, valuing will above all else, guarding the isolated object of de Vere's will.
Exactly. And then, suddenly it ends.
Tahor just vanishes one day.
Vanishes. The door opens, they come out of the cellar, blinking in the light of the shrine's dining hall.
And de Vere's there.
Standing there, clad in black, looking serene, affectionate even.
And his first words are just complete self-justification.
Totally. I won the war, he says, tells Creillyce. I hated that I had to shield thee, but now thou art free.
Shield thee. He frames the whole 2 weeks of terror as protection.
A necessary protection. He embraces them, says they'll be as all Father intended us to be, a family.
Okay, now, this is the moment, the absolute pivot you'd expect Creillyce after everything.
Right, after the prayers, the weeping, cursing him, you'd expect her to recoil or scream or something.
But that's not what the sources say happened.
No, it's shocking. Creillyce ran barefoot across the floor, weeping, threw her arms around de Vere Blacksword's chest, buried her face against his heart, her captor's heart.
Wow. I mean, what do you even make of that? Relief. Survival instinct kicking in.
Or did his sheer force of will, the thing Tahor admired, did it finally just break her? Force this bizarre immediate acceptance, Stockholm Syndrome.
It's the ultimate psychological twist, but it brings up a really practical question.
Which is?
If that shrine was truly about safekeeping, why wasn't Princess Tamaisve Taufin there too?
Gorion's betrothed.
Okay.
Right. She was about 6, equally important politically, and traumatized by the massacre in Ombris.
So why wasn't she shielded in the crypt with them?
De Vere entrusted Tamaisve to his secretary, Brolin.
Brolin, why him?
De Vere's reasoning was that Brolin harbors deep affection for children.
Okay, but that distinction tells us something crucial about de Vere's priorities.
It shows his real fear. Creillyce asked him later, why the half-troll? Why deliberately terrify her?
And his answer?
De Vere said Takor was his most steadfast warrior, precisely because he didn't care about gold. De Vere was terrified someone else would barter you for gold or to extort wealth from me.
Only her, though. That fear only applied to Creillyce.
She was the unique, irreplaceable object of his obsession. Tamaisve was politically valuable, sure, but just a pawn. He felt no risk of betrayal with her.
But Creillyce, she needed the ultimate security. A guard who valued will over wealth.
And ironically, Brolin, the secretary, proved reliable with Tamaisve, returned her unharmed.
Why?
Sources suggest Brolin was already wealthy himself and possessed a kind of crude foresight unclouded by the whims of greed. De Vere, chillingly, seemed to understand his people's motivations perfectly.
From the half-troll to the secretary.
When you look at the whole picture, it's just stunningly complex. This delusional knight uses a coup, uses a half-troll, to express this terrifying form of love.
Confinement becomes shielding. Violence proves worth.
De Vere's real victory, maybe, wasn't the throne. It was forcing Creillyce to acknowledge his will, even if that acknowledgement came from desperation or trauma.
It's that journey from her initial rage, her feeling that the world had gone mad, to that final weeping embrace. It's jarring. So the final thought for you listening, what does this strange reunion, this whole bizarre episode tell you about survival? About the terrifying power of sheer, unrelenting will and control, especially when everything else has fallen into chaos?
In a castle far where shadows creep, lived a queen so fair, her son in sleep. But one dark night, through door ajar, came a knight in black from lands afar. Oh, the mad knight laughed, with eyes aglow, to the crypt he led, both friend and foe. With the troll to guard, in the dark they lay, in the mad knight's crypt, where the lost must stay. In a barrel tight, the boy was bound, with wool for warmth, no light, no sound. The water's cold, the night so long, to a distant isle, where things go wrong. Oh, the mad knight laughed, with eyes aglow, to the crypt he led, both friend and foe. With the troll naught but dread, and the troll's strange eyes like coals of red. But the troll just watched with his wicked grin, as the queen did pray for the light within. Why, oh why did the knight so wild place a queen and her child with a creature so vile? But the troll did shrug and the knight did sing, for madness rules where shadows cling. Oh, the mad knight laughed with eyes aglow, to the crypt he led, both friend and foe. With the troll to guard in the dark they lay, in the mad knight's crypt where the lost must stay. Days turned nights and the candles gleam, brought to life a world that could only seem. With chalk and tales they made their way, drawing castles red where the birds would play. Oh, the mad knight laughed with eyes aglow, to the crypt he led, both friend and foe. With the troll to guard in the dark they lay, in the mad knight's crypt where the lost must stay. But in the end, when the door did creak, the queen embraced the knight so bleak. For in the light, the truth they'd see, that the mad knight's crypt was their destiny.